Hello YouTube, we're back again for Warp Server video. This time, now that Banner 2 is almost here, you're almost done with Banner 1 weapons and getting them completely pulled out of the Banner 1. Alright, we're gonna make a Banner 2 weapon guide on how to play all the Banner 2 weapons. So we're gonna start off with all the support weapons and all the not the support as in healers, but like damage buffing weapons, okay? So first off, we have 3 equipped right now. Antoria. Let's start with Antoria. This is the most generic damage buffer for Banner 2. Antoria not only just has like a generic damage buff, she is a basic attack buffer, basic and dodge attack buffer. Okay. But she just works on every team because she's easy to use and she provides off-field damage as well. Provides overall just generic damage buff, and then some more basic attack damage buff, which like most of the other skill DPS, discharge DPS, they all do basic attack anyways. So like she's the most versatile generic damage buffer. And how you play her is super easy. Okay. You need to at least upgrade her to you need to get her to at least 3, right? But then at 6, it's at 6 you get a 22% basic and dodge attack damage buff. So mainly go to 6, okay? But at 9, she gets hyper body randomly every 1.5 seconds every time her support damage comes in. So like get to 9 at least, okay? For Antoria. And then the more you get, the better, because she literally works on every freaking possible team in this game. Okay, and she flies, right, by holding dodge. Exploration. Get her to at least 7, but preferably 9 or even 10. Okay, start and then stop at 10, because going to 12, okay, going to 12, yes, it's also good, right? But it's only a 4.6% damage buff. And it's really expensive getting to 12. And then 14 just buffs that a little bit more to 8%, right? This is a like all the support weapons, they're plus 12 and plus 14s, provide generic damage buffs to your whole team, but the amount is much lower, right? 4.6. Like Zeke does the same thing, 5.3 for your whole team, right? But the other DPS weapons, for example, like Helene at plus 12, gives you a straight up 14% damage, but only for herself. So like important to level the support weapons to like 10 or 9, and then focus maxing out your DPS first to 12, 14, 15. Okay, so let's start off with Antoria. Antoria is super easy to play. Okay, let's demo off of Brevey here. To play Antoria, you start with her. For most cases in every team, if you're going to buff with her, you press skill. Your sub skill immediately comes up. You press sub skill again. And you get all the buffs. That's it. Now you can swap off to your DPS. Double tap skill. Very simple. Okay. If you think the double tap of the skill is too slow, there is another way to get her buffs without waiting for the sub skill. Right, the sub skill is just the easy way out, and you also do some damage. But all you need to do to get maximized buffs is to consume her alpha energy, which basically you could also, if you want to speed up your rotation, you can skill and do a dash attack, and then swap out. You get full buffs that way too. So skill, dash attack for faster rotation, but in most cases, skill and then a skill again. Right, that's it for Antoria. Super easy, and then she does background damage. You get like a shit ton of damage buffs, 22% basic. All right, final damage buff for 45 seconds. Okay. And then you just wait for her cooldowns to come back up. You don't have to be exactly on time. Because, right, before her cooldowns come up, as you can see, cooldowns are ready. She's still got like, you know, this much more buff time left. Right? About like 5 seconds more. You don't have to be exactly on time to get back to her. Moving on to the second buffer, the Gray Fox. Even more brain dead. For Gray Fox, she is a skill damage buffer. She gives a lot of skill damage buffs. Very good for most of the Banner 2 weapons, because most of them are skill damage. Gray Fox, before +9, you have to skill and then cast some basic attacks, get some stacks up. All right, I'm not gonna explain how that works. All right, read it yourself. Once you get to +9, as you can see, the moment you press her skill, you get additional 2 stacks. Okay, so you get insta 5 stacks on skill. So she turns very simple to play. All you do to play Gray Fox is press skill. Instantly 5 stacks, each stack giving you 5% skill damage, 25% skill damage right here, and you get passive damage in the background. You swap out. You press her skill and you swap out. Very simple. You don't have to do anything else. And that's Gray Fox. That's the skill damage buffer. Press skill, swap out. Nothing else really matters. Gray Fox is the best or the cheapest skill damage buffer that you can get. But then, because Lyn is only better than Gray Fox at +15, right? So Gray Fox, super easy to build. And all you need is +9 and you can stop there, right? The problem here is that she is Frost and she needs to be used with Helene on the Frost comp, right? Helene wants a skill damage buffer, right? And then at this point, you're building 2 Frost weapons and Frost is super expensive. And then, you know, the only problem for Gray Fox is that she is Frost. Okay. So a lot of people, if you are building Helene, a better alternative than the skill damage buffer Gray Fox is to like just not level Gray Fox, forget about her, and go for just extra damage like Gnonno. Okay. Because extra damage like Gnonno does more damage than the 22% skill damage buff until like you actually go into like late game, get +12 Helene, +12 Gray Fox. Then Gray Fox is a better alternative to Gnonno. So I don't recommend building Gray Fox if you're also trying to build Helene, basically. Okay. Plenty of other element weapons to go for because Frost is expensive as fuck. Moving on to the next buffer, Zeke, the staple discharge buffer. Zeke is very, very strong discharge buffer. And also, he's insane. He buffs whoever's on field to 12% charge. So like most discharge DPS weapons, they don't have good charge. Zeke fixes that problem and also gives you a shit ton of damage. Okay, this is how you play Zeke. This is how you play Zeke, okay? You can choose to cast Zeke's Discharge. It's actually not a bad option. Zeke's Discharge does do a crap ton of damage, right? 1400 multipliers, not bad. And then it's pretty quick to cast if you do the jump cancel. So basically, you discharge that first hit. The moment the turtle comes out, you can choose to cancel and jump. And then the turtle will land and do more damage. You like the moment you see the turtle pop out of the ground, you can jump cancel it. Okay. And then the moment you jump cancel, you're done. That's the discharge. Okay. That's some extra damage. It doesn't take too long. And then moving on, when you switch to Zeke, you want to cast his skill. Okay. Which is basically the moment the skill is cast, you get your discharge damage buffs for 45 seconds. You don't need to let the skill finish its animation. But if you jump cancel the skill too early, you no longer get the zone, right? At +12, this zone provides an extra damage buff to your whole team. So you do want to let the animation finish. So before then, you can choose to jump cancel his skill, right? For faster rotations if you want to. And then after you cast the skill, you got another option here. You can choose to use his basic attack. Okay, using his basic attacks triggers a white screen flash that I have turned off. And you can have 3 extra hits of like pretty high multipliers. Okay, you got 3 hits right there. Each hit doing decent multipliers. So those 3 hits will slow down the target's movements, will slow down bosses as well. It's perfect to combo with this damage dealing relic. So you can do the basic attacks while slowing down the target so he stays in your zone for longer. Okay. But those 3 hits are not necessary if you don't want to do them. And you want to focus on your other DPS weapons. Right? But basically, Zeke is swap to him, press skill, let the zone land, basic attacks if you need to, do 3, and then swap to DPS. These are the 3. Basic attack DPS, skill But no, basic attack buffer, skill buffer, discharge buffer. These are the main three, okay? So, alternative to Zeke, our final buffer, Fenrir, okay? Fenrir is also a discharge buffer, right? But she is just not as good as Zeke, right? Zeke doesn't do as many things as Zeke. And also Fenrir takes way too long to get her discharge buff. So how you play Fenrir is highly not recommended, by the way. You switch to Fenrir, right? You skill, and then you skill again, right? And then you just spam basic attacks, and then you need to stack 5 music notes on the target. And you just keep doing basic attacks until 5 music notes. Let me get that last one. There's 5, right? The moment the 5 is there, that's when you apply a debuff to the target for extra damage. And then you swap out. Okay? So Fenrir is kind of awkward to play. You double skill, and then you do basic attacks until you get a debuff on the target. And then you swap out. Right? She's more like Master Yu in Banner 1, where you have to do basic attacks to get the damage buff. Okay? So just not recommended unless you really simp for Fenrir. I want to play a pure discharge comp. So then you run Fenrir, Zeke, plus a discharge weapon. Right? If you want to play pure discharge comp, you could do that. Gnonno is a basic attack DPS. She is a honorary support damage dealer. Okay? Since nobody actually plays her as a basic attack DPS. So for Gnonno, how you play her is very simple. If you want to play her as a support damage dealer, all you do with Gnonno is press skill. You press the skill, swap out to whatever, and then these tentacles will permanently, or not permanently, but will continuously slap the target and doing free damage. That's it. Press skill, swap out. Very, very good single target damage. This damage is better than your whatever 22% skill damage buff. Okay? Till you get to like plus 12. So for Gnonno, if you want to play Gnonno as a support damage dealer, every time her cooldown is up, press skill, swap out. Right? There's like 15 stacks of tentacles. They'll just slap it all out and then free damage. But since we're on Gnonno, other things that we can talk about, all right, Gnonno is really good for doing rampage QTEs as well. Let's go through all her options. So, Gnonno, this hold attack. To move around. This thing can dodge all the lightning strikes, that thing. Okay. Her skill, you can hold her skill to do a helicopter spin in the air. This thing lets you dodge all the ground blue circle things. Okay. Right? You can keep holding it for as long as you like. Right? This thing also solves the problem where the rampage QTE tells you to do 60, was it 60 or 120 skill damage hits? Right? This does all of the skill damage hits that you need. Very easy solve right there. Okay? Also, she's really good in Bygone against Nyan because her attack, hold, this thing right here counts as basic attack. Very high frequency basic attacks. So you're guaranteed to auto parry anything. The blue circle's easily parried with this thing. And also, when you need to do like 200 something basic attack hits, this also solves that QTE. So if you're running Gnonno on your team, you might want to hold her skill and wait for the QTE for rampage, and then just to double check before you like hold your skill or like actually land your skill, and then you swap out. Okay? But otherwise, Gnonno is a basic attack DPS. All you need to know how to play her is press skill and attack 3 times, hold, and then you just this is how you do basic attacks. Right? Free damage, very brain dead, move around, dodge shit. She also gets like free hyper body. Lots of hyper body. Okay? The most brain dead, best investment weapon that you can have. And then she's Fizz, which means she's very cheap. Okay? So highly recommend you invest into Gnonno. She is the counter to the Nyan stage on Bygone. She solves that stage easily. So since we're on basic attackers, let's just get Lyncis out of the way and over with. Okay. The only other basic attack DPS is Lyncis. You want to run Antoria, obviously. Antoria is the basic attack buffer. And then Lyncis as the basic attack DPS. Your third option can be Rubelia for even more basic attack buffing. Or if you don't want to do more basic attack buffing, you can choose to go for... who else is here? Wait, what else do you build? I guess you can run Gnonno for free damage. You can run Gnonno for free damage. You can run... I guess that's it. For basic attacks, this is your staple comp. So, Antoria, Lyncis, and Rubelia. And then how you play this is basically... hold on. Alright, let's do this. Oh yeah, Tsubasa. You can run Tsubasa too. I forgot Tsubasa was basic attack DPS. But in general, this is better. Alright, so basically you start off double skill, you get the buffs, discharge Rubelia, jump plunge at the beginning, skill. Now you're on Lyncis, you have all the buffs ready. So on Lyncis, you press her skill when you get into her, and then you do basic attack spam. You wait for her sub skill to come up, sub skill is up, you press sub skill, and then you do a dash attack. And then you keep basic attack spam. Sub skill is up, sub skill, dash attack. Sub skill is up, sub skill, dash attack. Alright, cooldowns are back up, switch weapons, rebuff. So skill, do basic attack chain until you slam your board on the last hit. Do a sub skill, dash attack, sub skill, dash attack, sub skill, dash attack. But yeah, that's it. Okay, for Lyncis, skill, basic attack spam, sub skill, dash attack. Keep basic attack spamming. Wait for cooldowns, rotate. Okay, she's not bad, but she is not too recommended because she needs to be at melee distance, and you get interrupted a lot at melee distance. Okay, so moving on to the skill DPSers. Okay, for all skill DPSers, your best bet. Okay, so for skill DPS weapons, once you unlock Banner 2, right, obviously your best option, if you're a whale, is you get plus 15 Lin with Grey Fox, and then you buff your skill DPS, right? But plus 15 Lin is not realistic, now that you know how this game works, right? Alter, not realistic, especially when you're building double altered. This is not possible, okay? Everyone just goes Antoria, okay? Since, like, most weapons also do basic attacks anyway. So this is your best build if you do want to run a skill DPS, but obviously you can substitute any of your underinvested buffers with, so for example, you can substitute your Antoria with a Gnonno. You can substitute the Gnonno with a Void Piercer, right? Those all are good options. But yeah, let's show the Nola rotation. So for Nola, all you need to do after buffing is to skill. And then you spam basic attacks until the fourth hit, do the spin, hold. So, hold. Attack, 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 hold. Attack, 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 hold. Attack, 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 hold. Just keep doing that. That's it. That's all you need to do. Very simple. Okay. The sub skill is optional. You can do it whatever. It doesn't really matter. Okay, pay attention to this bar, basically. Right? You see this thing timing out? The moment it times out, you can no longer cast your sub skill. So cast it before if you want to cast the sub skill. Otherwise, after you're done, you're waiting for cooldown, keep doing the attack hold spam. That's how you play Nola. Okay? Moving on. Helene. Helene, the best skill DPS, the safest skill DPS in this whole game, okay? With a lot of burst potential as well. Okay? All the CN meta whale chasing players went to plus 15 already. Very, very strong. Okay, so this is how you play Helene, okay? Let's get into it. Alright, so to play Helene, this is the best... Whoops, wrong button. This is the best Helene comp that most people would run, right? Obviously, plus 15 Lin would also be good. But you start on Antoria. Skill, double skill. Grey Fox, jump cancel, the discharge is not needed. Skill immediately in the air. Alright, immediately swap to Helene. And then once you're on Helene, you need to make sure her skill starts like going to cooldown as soon as possible, right? You want to do 1, 2, 3 dash attacks the moment you switch into her to build up her skill charge. All right, then you can cast her skill. Once this is up, you double tap her skill as fast as possible. Otherwise, there'll be a cooldown in between. So 1-1. So both slaps come down. Okay. At this point, this green icon is lit up. Okay. This means you can do the hold attack. So now you hold left click. During this, you can get interrupted. Very important when you do the hold attack, that you use this relic. You see this relic right here? Mag Pulse. Very important. During the hold attack, you use Mag Pulse. Mag Pulse is a staple relic on Helene. You have to run it. Otherwise, this is the only time you're going into melee distance, and the only time you can get interrupted, and it's going to fuck up everything. You're going to lose a lot of damage by not landing that hit. So you need this Mag Pulse to save yourself. After you do that hold attack, okay, what do you do while you're waiting for cooldowns? You're going to do this, okay? You're going to do basic attacks. 1, 2, 3. Right? And then these last two, you don't want to do this last basic attack hit. It's bad. If the multipliers are low, it takes forever. You don't want to do it. Okay, so you do 4 basics. You see, the moment your character goes in, the moment your character spins and goes into the target, that's when you want to stop. That's when you want to do a dash attack. So 1, 2, 3. Going in, dash out. Do the dash attack. And then keep going. Go in, directional dash out. In, directional dash out. In, directional dash out. All right? That's what you do while you don't have skills or that hold attack. All right? Let's do a full rotation. So the dash attack, by the way, once you level her up enough, there will be an icon here. Like this icon. Okay, this will be at 3. This is how many buffed dash attack damages you will have. All right, so you need to do that dash attack to trigger this passive to do the extra damage. Okay, very important. You do the dash attacks. Helene Rotation. Skill. Antoria. Skill again. Gray Fox. Jump cancel. Skill. Helene. Double tap. Hold. Right, and then you start doing this. So this will be your second rotation. This is not your initial rotation. Since you're doing all these basic attacks, the initial 3 dash attacks are no longer required since you're building up all these charges already. And that's basically it. That's how you play Helene. Okay, let's start from the beginning. Just assume I don't have this charge. And this time incorporating Mag Pulse. One more time. It's Helene. Everyone's going to be playing this. This is the meta character. Might as well go over it. Antoria. One more time. Dash. Double tap skill. Mag Pulse, hold attack. Dash out. And then go. Right? So, after the first rotation, okay, if you further leveled up Helene to +12 and beyond, you can see this, right? When she does a dash attack, her damage is increased by 14% for 60 seconds. So once you go to +12 and beyond on Helene, you want to make sure before every time you do the double skill tap, which is her primary source of damage, before you do the double skill tap, you want to do a dash attack first. Okay? So on your second rotation, for example, I don't really need to target. On the second rotation, you do this. Double skill, a Gray Fox, skill, swap to Helene. Don't double skill yet. Do 1 dash attack to get the +12 buff, and then you do this. So your double skill hold can be casted instantly with each other. And then you go into your basic attack rotation again. Okay. There's Helene. Good luck playing her. Does require some skill to play. And then, especially when you're dealing with bosses, right? You need to position yourself with these dash attacks, right? So for example, let's do one more. This is why Helene is good, is because she is very safe and she moves around during her combo. Okay, so your basic attacks, you can choose to dodge left. You can choose to dodge forward. You can choose to go whatever direction you want, right? Very safe to play when her rotation looks like this. So basically, you want to make sure you keep dodging out of harm's way. Keep dodging behind the boss. Okay, avoid where your tank is going. avoid the red circles, and basically just, you know, that's why she's very safe. And then her nuke is like, her nuke positions are away from the target. This is the only one where she's not safe, and you can mitigate it with Mag Pulse. There's Helene. And yeah, also, this thing, right? I have 3 stacks here. You want to make sure you consume all 3 stacks of dash attack extra damage. All 3. Every rotation. And moving on. Hipper. Hipper is technically more theoretical DPS than Helene. She does do more theoretical damage. She is the best vault weapon if you want a vault option. Okay. The same team comp run Antoria and Grey Fox with her. Alright. And this is how you play Hipper, basically. Hipper, you really want to run these 2 relics. Not just Mag Pulse. Okay. You also want to run Drone for the hyper body as well. And then you also preferably want to run gems. There's one specific gem that gives you hyper body, and you also, maybe if you want to fully maximize build Hipper, you also want to run hyper body. All right, you want the substat hyper body so that she stays with as much hyper body as possible. And this is why Antoria is good, because Antoria also provides a little bit of hyper body from in the background, all right, to your on-field weapon. So to play Hipper, her discharge is bad. Jump cancel it. Okay. Antoria skill start double skill again. Grey Fox skill swap out. The moment you're on her, you want to use her skill. Her skill does provide a few seconds of hyper body as well. So you skill, and then your first full basic attack chain up until this point is protected by hyper body. So you don't have to do your hyper body shit yet. Your first full basic attack chain, after your first full hit is done, and don't cast the sub skill yet. All right, you get 3 stacks of this. This buffs your dash attack, and you want to consume all 3. But there's a built-in 7-second cooldown in between. So basically, after this is done, your first full basic attack chain, you want to do a dash attack, and then keep clicking like that thing, that right there. Okay, so let's start it again. Hit first skill, first 5 hits, the first full basic attack chain, don't need hyper body. Okay, and then do dash attack, and then this thing. All right, this you can get interrupted. So basically, based off of what the boss is doing, what the enemy is doing, at this point or at whatever point in time, you need to use your Mag Pulse to like give yourself hyper body. You don't want to get interrupted here. And then now that you have hyper body, you do another basic attack chain, get more hyper body, do another dash attack. Right? Basic attack chain, dash attack. Full rotation time. Okay, full rotation time. Double skill, some ping issues, whatever. You go to Hipper, skill, full basic attack chain, do the hyper body relic, Mag Pulse, 1 more basic attack chain, dodge attack, 1 more basic attack chain, dodge attack. Okay, all 3 stacks are gone. My cooldowns are about to be up, and at the very end, you want to do the sub skill. This thing does a shit ton of damage. Look, Brevey just fucking died. Straight up. Okay, the sub skill is very crucial, but you want to use it at the very last moment. And then the sub skill does a shit ton of damage. Okay, and then you do the sub skill and then you rotate out. Okay, and that's how you play Hipper. Moving on. Next skill DPS. This is your best option for a skill damage DPS for Fizz. Miao. Miao is pretty much your best option for Fizz if you didn't go for Gnonno. But if you went for Gnonno and invested into Gnonno, Gnonno just works and you don't really need to invest into another physical DPS. But Miao technically is the better skill DPS if you do want to have a Fizz team. Okay, so for Miao is the same. You're running these 2, obviously. Again, skill DPS. All right, for Miao, very simple rotation. You cast her skill. Oh wait, I don't have a target. Fuck. Awkward. We wait the cooldown out. Will there be Apex League? I doubt it. Use the free smart server in a battle on warp server. Nope. Smart server is no battle. Unless you got that Gachapon one, which is technically also free. All right. So for Miao, all you need to do is cast her skill, do basic attacks, and then at a certain point, do a dash attack to burn her feathers. Okay, and then you need to burn all 4 feathers for maximum damage. So let's start. Skill, you get 4 damage, 4 feather stacks. You do basic attacks up until this point, right? Up until the last hit. That's where you can dash attack cancel. So do this. One dash attack. Okay, that burned 1 feather. Keep going. One hit. One hit. Okay, so basically you do 4 rotations of basic attack into dash attack cancel. Okay, to use all 4 feathers. And then you will still have some cooldown downtime. During that downtime, you can do whatever. It doesn't really matter. But to be safe, it's best if you just did the dash hold. This thing has auto targeting and a very, very long range. So basically, basic attack up until the last hit, animation cancel with the dash attack. Do that 4 times. The rest of the time, you're doing this hold animation. The hold dash. Or the dash left click hold. That's how you play Miao. Moving on to the next skill DPS. Yes, there's a lot of skill DPS on Banner 2. Literally all of them. We got Carrot. Carrot is the same way. Okay. You buff with these 2 weapons. And then just once you get the Carrot, all you do is cast her skill. Make sure the skill lands. And then you just hold left click. Very brain dead. Okay, why she isn't recommended is because there's a better flame weapon later. Alright. For Discharge team. And also, this hitbox is very wonky. You end up not hitting a lot of targets. And then they just scuff. Okay. If you want to have the brain dead gameplay, you can play Carrot. Very simple to play. But, you know, he doesn't have many options here. Just basic skill, hold left click. Moving on to our last skill DPS, which theoretically, she does a shit ton of damage, but takes a lot of time to build up the damage. And the problem with Umi here is that she doesn't really fit with any of the other weapons because of her unique charging bar mechanic. I already charged all of her bar, right? Before switching, I don't know how this even works. Somehow the bar is already charged because previously I did some hits on her and the bar is still here. But basically you need to charge her bar to even cast her skill to even start doing damage. And this is how fast her bar charges. All right, look at this whip thing. You're gonna be basic attacking for like a year before you can even use her skill, before she even does damage. Unless you are a real simp for Umi, I wouldn't bother. And then the bar is gone. And like, I don't know, man. If you really want to, can she recharge with Gnonno? All right, we could try that. We could try an actual rotation with this team. Basically, Umi, no, I've never seen a single person play Umi on CN. And if you're really an Umi simp, you can figure it out yourself if she's good. Right? Even with pre-charge. Right, look at this. It's slow as fuck. Yeah. I don't recommend this weapon, okay? If you really want to play this character, go for it. I gave you a warning, okay? We move on, finally. All the skill damage DPSers are done. We move on to the Discharge DPS. So, for the Discharge team, we start off with Liu Huo, the best flame weapon on Banner 2. Okay, Liu Huo is hard tied to Zeke if you want to play in the DPS comp. These 2 weapons, you have to run these 2 together. There's no other option. You have to go with Zeke. This last option, if you want to buff discharge damage some more, you can run Fenrir, but this is not recommended for obvious reasons. Okay, you could have just run Antoria, generic Antoria, and would have done better. Or you can run Gnonno instead of Antoria. But Zeke, you have to run her with Zeke. Okay, so we do the generic comp. Antoria, you start the rotation off by using Antoria double skill, as usual. Antoria double skill. And then you do Zeke. Wait for the skill to land. You can choose to do 3 basic attacks if you want to. Not necessary. Liu Huo Discharge, optional. You can jump cancel, but might as well cast it because it's fast. Right? The animation is really fast. And then now, once you're on Liu Huo, right, immediately skill. And then this is where her passive kicks. Right? She will consume your charge, okay, and turn it into damage. So you don't have to do discharges anymore. But basically, you want to keep basic attacking. And this is why Zeke buffing Liu Huo to 12 charge is crucial to this team. The moment you hit 850 charge threshold, your charge gets reset and you do a crap ton of damage. And then you just keep doing it, right? But you want to make sure her skill is up. So for example, if I'm like outside here, okay, Zeke helps everybody charge faster, right? The moment I'm here, right, I don't want to do basic attacks anymore. This will put the charge over and force me to do a discharge, right? At this point, you want to swap out to Liu Huo and do her skill to consume the charge, right? So you want to manage your charge levels so you don't overcharge and you miss out on that passive damage. So after you press the skill, what is the fastest way to charge with Liu Huo? Okay, this is the macro way. All right, spamming the first basic attack. Right, if you look at the basic attack multipliers, this first hit, 125, way better than any of the other hits till like 6 and 7, which takes too long. So the best way to do damage with Liu Huo is to spam the first hit. Right? So basically, skill, spam first hit. You build charge really fast because of Zeke. You do a shit ton of damage, and then you're just slapping the target. You can use the macro to get it consistently up. But if you don't want to do that, since this is kind of sweaty, you can do the other Liu Huo rotation. She got plenty of options, basically. Okay, a Liu Huo skill. Right, this is the basic Liu Huo rotation. So basically, 1, 2, 3 hits. So 1, 2, hold left click. 1, 2, hold left click. Right, 1, 2, hold left click. Wait until that brush swipe. You don't want this other thing to happen, right? 1, 2, hold left click, wait until the brush strike, and then you want to cancel that animation, do a back dodge. 1, 2, back dodge. 1, 2, back dodge. 1, 2, hold, back dodge. Something like that. This generates a lot of charge, basically. Let's go again. Skill. Back dodge, dash attack. Hold, back dodge, dash attack. Hold, back dodge, dash attack. Okay, this is our basic combo, basically. All right. Also, if you don't want to do this, if that's too complicated, she's got a third option. Liu Huo Bonk. This is for when the target's moving around and she's like, she wants to be safe. You don't want to be in melee distance. You do the Liu Huo Bonk thing. You do dash attack, but then you hold left click. This lets you move around, all right, and dodge things. And then whenever you do a dodge, there's a pseudo hyper body here, so you can face tank some animation, right? So basically, you can do that. This is our third rotation, third optional combo. And then there's more options. Liu Huo is very versatile, right? Liu Huo also has a ranged option. So when, for example, Valkyrie is flying around in the air and you can't hit, your other weapons can't hit, right? Liu Huo instead can do this. This thing ranges, sending the birds flying. Those track the target, so you can keep doing more damage and keep building up charge to trigger a passive. But like, this is really bad damage. This is only when like Valkyrie is flying around and wasting your time. And to do it, you basically hold left click, click, right? You hold left click and then you keep spamming clicks. Hold left click, spam clicks right here. Hold left click, spam clicks. Hold left click, spam clicks. All right, plenty of options on Liu Huo. Very safe character to play because of this long range plowing attack. And then if you hold W, you can choose the direction, right? If the target moves. So that's how you play Liu Huo, okay? best flame weapon on Banner 2. Let's move on. Liu Huo done. We go into Ruby. The next discharge weapon. Ruby, where's Ruby? Not recommended because her cooldowns are really scuffed and her skill is scuffed. But what you want to do with Ruby is the same thing, right? Buff with Zeke, buff with Antoria. I'm not gonna. You're supposed to start with Antoria. It doesn't really matter. You want to discharge into Ruby to apply like a burn thing, and then you want to use her skill, and then you want to do basic attacks, and then you want to bounce this little cube between you and the target. But the physics in this game is scuffed, and the cube will go into Narnia, and then now you can't bounce, and now you lose all your damage. And that's why she's not recommended. It's the mechanics are very scuffed. You discharge, you skill, and then you want to bounce the thing while you are either spamming basic attacks, or you can spam the hold and then bounce that way. But at the end of the day, there's better options. All right, don't bother with Ruby. Moving on, we got Alyss. Also a character that's really weird with her cooldowns and just doesn't fit with other weapons. She does discharge DPS. Okay, what you want to do is want to discharge into her, right? For these weapons that are not meta on CN, there's barely any guides. I went to Billy, I searched for her name and guides, 0 videos about her. So like, take any of this advice with a grain of salt. You want to, like, you know, figure it out yourself if you really simp for Alyss, okay? So basically, get your buffs in, get your discharge buff in with Zeke, discharge Alyss, use her skill, and then do basic attacks. You can do hold attacks with the spin, right? She builds up some stacks. Once you have enough stacks, you want to do dash attacks, because apparently the dash attacks get buffed too, and you can do a few of those. And then she also does damage off field, so you can play with some other main DPS weapon with Alyss as well. But that's as much as I know about Alyss. Okay, this is as much as I know about Alyss. Maybe figure her out yourself if you really want to play her. So, Yanuo is a shatter weapon. Okay, her skill does a lot of shatter, and she is usable in biochemical collapse. If you need a frost shatter weapon for certain builds that forces you to run triple frost, but that's about it. All right, to play her, all you need to know is her skill does a lot of shatter. So you press her skill, right? Huge chunk of shatter, right? And then you dodge, go invisible, hold left click, pop the ball, right? The ball pops, you get your skill cooldown back, and you can seal again. And then you can't do this again. There's a cooldown now, right? Basically, this is all you need to know is you skill, go invisible by the hold dodge, and then throw the spear, and then you get your skill back, and you skill again for a lot of shatter, and that's it. Okay. But yeah, that's how she shatters. And then that's about it, right? If you want to actually play her for other things other than shatter, figure it out yourself. Never seen anybody play her for other purposes other than shatter. Okay, moving on. Shiro. She is a very weird weapon that gives you guaranteed crit and gives herself a lot of damage. She also does some sort of buffs. I don't know. Never seen anyone play Shiro, and crit is kind of weird in a weird spot on Warp server. No idea how Shiro works. Probably cast skill, spam dash attacks. I have no idea how she works. Figure out how she plays yourself, I guess. Never seen her recommended anywhere. No idea what Huma even does. Huma gives you a large chunk of resistance and shield, and she has some sort of that lifesteal thing. Good against mobs and like flame attack enemies. That's as much as I know about her. I've never seen anyone use her, since there isn't any like high stress environments where the tank needs a shit ton of survivability. And if you do need survivability, why not just build more HP, right? Yeah, so no idea how Huma works. He probably has some sort of use for tanks, but otherwise not recommended. Okay, there's other tanks that you can use. That's it to all the weird weapons. And speaking of tanks, all right, let's talk about the tank and healer weapons in Banner 2, since they're all decently relevant. Oh, okay. The best tank weapon on Warp, Aster. At +9, she also has Forced Fantasia. So basically, after skill, when you do a basic attack, the Fantasia will happen. But I don't think it works in PvP, so I can't show it. So for Aster, okay, all tanks should be running Aster as long as there's a shatter mechanic available. Okay, so basically what you do, the moment the boss's shield comes up and you're using Aster, you discharge, you do a shit ton of damage to the shield, and then you press skill. And then the shield breaks. And then you can choose to do basic attacks. Once you do enough basic attacks, you will build 3 stacks over here. And then at this point, you can choose to hold left click to consume all 3. I don't think the sub skill is necessary. I don't think it does anything important. But basically, consuming all 3 stacks here, they give you... Where did it go? So over here. Right, the first one gives you 5% damage reduction for 35 seconds. The second hold gives you 15% more healing. The third hold gives you, or just does some extra damage. They're like optional, but you can do them if nothing better to do as a tank. Aster is the modern Shaki, yes. And then Aster, obviously, for those of you that don't know, has movement capability, right? Holding dash lets you fly AOT style. Doesn't use stamina. As long as there's like a grapple target nearby. And then once you do this enough times, this second bar charges, and then you can press space bar to do horizontal flying. And then there's no fall damage. And then when there is targets, let me go find a target, right? When there is targets, you can left click dash into them. All right, basically you run Aster as a tank, as the go-to shatter weapon for tanks. Speaking of Aster and tank comms, now that we're here, some more information about Liu Huo that we missed in her discharge category. Liu Huo also can be used on a tank team. So if you have fortitude, okay, this is the best thing you can run. You can either, the third weapon can be like, you know, Lan, it can be Tian, it can be anything. But when Liu Huo is on a tank team, she gives herself a shit ton of charge, so you don't need Zeke anymore. And this is your key and your solution to all the bygone floors that have shield. Let's do a quick demo. Liu Huo, Aster, and Antoria. No, you'd have to be fortitude. So you have to be a tank player. You have to run 2 tank weapons. So 2 tank weapons plus Liu Huo. All you do is just do the same Liu Huo combo. You skill and then you just slap the target. Keep slapping. Okay? Wait for the shield to come up. You can mix and match whatever. Wait for the shield to come up, right? Aster discharge. Make sure you actually hit the fucking target. Don't do it then. Hold on. Try again. But basically, before you do the discharge, you make sure the target stays still. Okay? Trigger a Fantasia, do whatever. Or if there's multiple mobs, you want to position yourself because she only hits targets in front. Okay? You want to position yourself. Let's try again. First try, let's go. Skill with Liu Huo. Right? Animation, dodge away, and bonk. Okay. Okay. Aster discharge into the shield. See that shield? Half of it's gone, okay? And then you do the skill. It's completely shattered. All you need is a discharge and then a skill. And then you just keep DPSing, right? This is the go-to team, the solution to all bygone floors, basically, outside of 9. It's not just bosses, the mob floors too. The moment you break the shield, you do a shit ton of damage, right? Shield up, discharge, skill, shattered, keep DPSing. Very simple. Try this team in bygone. It saves you a lot of molding. But that's Aster, okay? The go-to shatter weapon. Discharge into skill. And that's it to the only relevant fortitude weapon on Banner 2. Let's talk about the 3 healers that we have on Banner 2. Lechesis, Fei Se, and Brevey. That's off. Where's Lechesis? Swap the wrong weapon. If you're a healer, you should know what the hell you're doing. I'm not going to show you how to play the healers since it's not necessary. I'll probably just Lechesis since Lechesis can do some DPS. But basically Brevey, what you want to do is you want to attach Brevey to your teammate. Okay. before anything happens. You got to be on the same team first, right? So for Brevey, when you're healing, before you go into any fight, you want to attach the fucking mets on any teammate. Okay? That's how you do passive healing. Without you doing this, you're gonna lose out on a lot of shit. Okay? And then there's also this mets also gives a damage boosting aura. Okay? Very important. You want to attach the mets onto any player. And then Brevey is the go-to graying bite clearing weapon. Some bosses, they give you this bar in the middle that once you max out the bar, you take a shit ton of damage and you die. Okay? Brevey clears graying bite. Very important. Fei Se, on the other hand, is the best healer on Warp server. The best healer. Okay? She heals a shit ton. And then also Fei Se has the unique ability of negating healing. Where's the healing negation? On her hold attack. So Fei Se's attack hold allows the target to heal 50% less for 20 seconds. So a lot of the healing bosses, you need to use Fei Se or, you know, other options to negate their healing. So she's a counter to healing enemies. So basically attack, hold, this thing. I think it's this thing, right? 70% healing reduction on plus 15. And then it takes like 30, it lasts for 30 seconds, even longer. And then that's basically it. And then she provides a shield at certain levels, but that's for healers to figure out, right? Mainly she's the best healer and she provides healing reduction. Brevey is graying bite clearing and the Mets buff. And then Lechesis. This is the best weapon for applying damage buffs for your whole team. So all you do to play her is to press skill, and then now your whole team gets a damage buff after you press her skill. Okay, if you want to continue using her, she does damage as well as a healer. So you want to be using the attack, hold, charge thing. All right, this does decent damage, but in high stress environments, you don't really have the room to do all these hold attacks. Right? So there's the 3 hold attacks. The first one, it does nothing. But the second one and the third one, the second one applies a buff to your whole team. When they have graying bite up to 80, it'll reduce 50 graying bite. It's like technically a graying bite clear, but just use Brevey. Brevey is more consistent. And then the third hit heals your whole team for 1200% multiplier. It also does a shit ton of damage. But then, you know, don't recommend her to do damage. Your job is to support your team and not DPS. So just fucking press the skill and move on, okay? Press the skill and move on. Did I just bait everyone to get the negate healing relic? No. The negate healing is 100% negating healing and also permanent uptime once 4 players get it. Okay, Fei Se is just a cope option if you don't have that relic and if you need other relics. But yeah, those are the 3 healer weapons, and I think that's it. I think I talked about everything on Banner 2. Super fucking long video, but it's necessary. Banner 2 is what you're going to be dealing with for the next, like, 4 months, I guess. But that's it. So, good luck.